A level playing field is crucial to the integrity of any sport, and greyhound racing is no exception. Swabbing is a big part of that process. Scott, why do we swab greyhounds?
It's all about upholding the integrity of the industry, making sure that every dog is running on its merits and making sure that every dog has its chance in the race. As you say, it's a level playing field.
So it's basically trying to detect prohibited substances in greyhounds?
Correct, yeah. Permanently prohibited substances that are banned, just to ensure that the greyhounds are running on their merits.
And where and when can it happen?
Out of competition testing is certainly one of those ways where we can test greyhounds that are on the premises of the trainer or the owner. We also do pre-race and post-race swabbing, and also we do swabs upon arrival at the racetrack.
Okay, let's start with the out of competition testing. Yes. So can that happen at any time of day?
Yes, it can.
And is it announced or unannounced?
No, it is unannounced. So yeah, a steward or a person from GRV can arrive at the premises at any time and ask to do a swab on a greyhound.
So what about on race day? You said before a race.
Yes.
Is it immediately before the race when they get to the track?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways. So we can swab any greyhound that as soon as it arrives on track. More likely pre-race and post-race swabbing. So once the greyhounds are all locked away, the race bays are locked with a padlock, a steward's padlock, and then when your trainers arrive 20 minutes before the race, we let the trainer know which greyhound is being swabbed, and we carry out that process before the race.
So with the post-race swabbing, does that happen immediately after a race, or is there a bit of a lull sometimes?
The greyhound is, once it's won the race or has been selected to be swabbed after the race, is locked away in its race kennel for 40 minutes or in the swab bay, and the trainer then comes back to the steward's room 40 minutes or after, and we'll perform that post-race swab.
Okay. So Scott, who do stewards target with regard to swabbing?
We can target any greyhound participating at the race meeting. We may choose to target greyhounds that have run extraordinary times. We may choose the greyhounds that have run below market expectations. It can be any greyhound participating at the meeting. And
what are the types of swabbing processes?
Urine is the most used by us at a race meeting. Blood samples are taken if urine is unable to be obtained. We can also use hair testing.
So Scott, talk us through the process. You mentioned that a trainer has to come back to the kennel block 40 minutes after a race to go through the swabbing process, at which point they seek a steward?
Correct, yeah. So they come and see a steward, at which time we'll grab a kit, which will look exactly like that, and they'll accompany the steward to the vet's room. We put the control fluid through the ladle and make sure that the ladle is everything's clean, and then we go to retrieve the greyhound and then out to collect the urine.
So the trainer and steward go and retrieve the greyhound from the kennel for the actual swab itself?
That's right, yes.
Take it outside into the garden area and trying to gather some urine?
That's right, yes.
So once that's all done, what happens with it there?
So we return back to the vet's room. We use that control fluid to put through the 2 sample collection bottles. So the control fluid actually goes through anywhere where the urine will come into contact with, and then the urine is split into 2 different sample bottles.
So is that sample A and sample B that we often hear about?
Yep, so sample A, which is 2/3, and sample B, which is 1/3. The substance is secured. It is up to the trainer to ensure that the numbers on the satchel, on the sample identity document, and the seals that go over the bottles are all matching. And that's an important part of the process for the trainer or the representative.
So trainers have quite an active role in the whole swabbing process, just in terms of observing?
Absolutely, yeah. And some trainers choose to catch the urine themselves, and that's more than okay as well.
Obviously under supervision?
Absolutely.
Trainer must sign off?
Yep, so once the whole process is completed and they're happy it's been done, they sign off at the bottom along with the steward who's accompanying them the whole time.
How long does the whole process take for the swab?
It'll be a 5 to 10 minute process. It all depends on how quickly we can capture the urine from the dog.
What's a busy night look like for a steward in terms of the number of swabs compared to a quiet night?
Look, it can depend on the amount of stewards that attend the meeting. On average, it would be anywhere between 15 to 25 swabs on a particular night. So it depends on how many stewards there, but at the end of the day, if dogs are overperforming or underperforming, then there's a chance that they'll be sampled, regardless of how many stewards are on.
So it often depends on what happens on the track as well?
Exactly right.
So Scott, how does a steward go about notifying a trainer that you want to swab his greyhound?
So pre-race, there'll be a steward's padlock on the race bay. And once trainers come into the kennel block, 20 minutes prior to the race, the steward will come out and advise whichever trainer it is that their greyhound will be sampled, and that swabbing process begins there, going straight to the vet room before we retrieve the greyhound.
And post-race, is it just a matter of telling them straight after the race or when they return to the kennel?
Yeah, so post-race, the greyhound will finish in the catching pen. There'll be a steward present in the catching pen, so whichever greyhound has been chosen to be swabbed is within the sight of that steward until the time it gets locked back in the kennel bay.
And how's it usually greeted by trainers, that sort of news that their greyhound's about to be swabbed?
I think nowadays it's just what happens. Yeah, most trainers are very pleasant about it, understand why we're doing it, and yeah, we don't come across too many issues at all.
It is probably a more common occurrence now. Swabbing numbers have certainly gone up in the last 2 years.
Yep.
So are we all just becoming more professional as an industry?
Yeah, I think so. I know the general feeling amongst most of the trainers that you come across is that it is a good thing. It has made it a very level playing field.
And that's what we want, a clean sport.
Absolutely.